Hi, this is Dr. Eurita Taylor, author of His Strength in My Weakness, a journey of brokenness, breakthrough, and transformation. Welcome. I am the host of Unleashing Unlimited Power. Each of us has the power in us to do great things, but for whatever reason, some of us never tapped into that power. Unleashing unlimited power will not only help you to tap into that inner power, but with the help of God, it will help us to become a better version of ourselves. Today, I have with me Glaisha Macarius. She's an educator in the Cincinnati school system. She is going to be talking to us about choosing happiness over the societal labels. Welcome, Glaisha. Thank you for joining Unleashing Unlimited Power. How are you?
Hello, thank you for having me. I am doing well.
You're looking well. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so your topic, we'll talk about how you came up with that topic to begin with. But
Okay.
what I want to say is everyone wants to be loved. And some of us are fortunate that we get that love back in return. And some of us, we give of ourselves and we don't get back that love that we need. Some of us, we get it, but not the way that we need it, because each of us require love on a different level. So that brings us to our topic where you're telling me, okay, you had this love in your life, but things didn't go the way you wanted to go. So tell us
Mhm.
about that.
Yeah, I was really excited, got engaged, and things were going well, and then started going not so well, and it was a situation where unfortunately I ended up breaking off that engagement. But it was something that took a lot of strength and trust in God to kind of make that decision, make that leap, and move on, you know?
I applaud you for that. Some of us, sometimes we hold on to the things that God is trying so hard to take away from us. And when we're in relationships, we get emotionally involved. We get wrapped up in that person. And though things are not going well, we stick around. But you left.
Right, and you talk about being able to, unleash that power. And it's really just um, taking a minute to realize the situation that you're in and the things that you value, and tapping into that power and trust and knowing that you can move forward and make it happen. So to give you a little bit more background, with this situation, I deliberately waited until later in life to think about starting a family, because I was really focused on the traditional family, setting, and making sure that all of that goes right. Um, and which is one of the things that I valued, and which is the married and kids within wedlock and all that nice, good, traditional, perfect stuff, right? Um, and so, I had this engagement. It didn't go as planned. And of course, I have my wonderful and only son now, right? Thanking God for that. But unfortunately, it was a situation that I had to walk away from. I made the decision to walk away from, and therefore, it's not being that traditional setup, and it's more now kind of being labeled that single mom, if you will, right? So you're looking at a situation where my focus was all around the traditional family setup, doing it right, married, wedlock, blah, 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 to a situation where, I have to make a decision. Do I stay in something that is unhealthy, or, you know, do I go a route that is healthier and better for me and ultimately my son, and stay with that stigmatized label, if you will, of, oh, single mom or single Black mom or whatever the case may be. And it's not just when I'm making big decisions like this, it's not anything that I just randomly or, in the moment or upset and just make a decision. Usually with very important things like this, I pray over it. I
Okay.
pray out of it. And clearly, clear as day, the good Lord said to me, get up and go. That was all I needed to hear.
So you left.
So I
What
left.
effect did that have on your son and his dad's relationship?
Well, obviously, especially because we're now in two different states, right? It is not a typical setup where there's maybe a lot of visits and go spend the weekend type thing. Come and see him on the weekend. We're in two different places. We're miles away, and I knew when I made that decision, when I got on that plane, I knew that that was to come. But I was okay with that because in the background of that, I know that God got me. He has me. He got me set up. He's about to do this with me.
Okay.
We're about to do this. You know what I mean? Understanding that, yes, with that miles away, there is going to be that lack of face to face or whatever. So over time, there has been, little rough areas here and there, but over time, he has his moments where, he'd come around and try to, possibly, uh, you know, have some type of relationship. But again, I'm not surprised. Wasn't surprised because when I made that decision, I knew that that would be a challenge, but I also knew that it would have been even more of a challenge had I stayed and not listened to the voice of God that said, go.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Okay, so you left, and a lot of women they do that. But let me ask you personally: do you leave the door open so that if dad says, "Okay, I want to come and get my son," you leave that door open that he could come, and when he called, he speaks to his son. Do you put a restriction on what his
Oh
interaction with his
no.
son?
Oh no. No, no, never that. Never that. Never that. There is always an open door and a welcome for him to see him, speak with him, visit with him. There's never any intention to restrict or block that ever, and there won't ever be. I mean, unless something like off the wall happens to where even a judge or a police says no, keep him away. But that's like way off. But other than that, even under circumstances where there may be behaviors that I don't approve of as far as his relationship with his son, no intention of blocking that or restricting that in any capacity. And along those lines, never ever have I discussed anything negatively with my son about his biological dad. Now, I typically use the label biological dad because obviously he has a wonderful dad in his life right now. Um, Married, 2 years, he has a wonderful dad in his life. But with his biological dad, I've never even given my son any negative information about his
Good, good. I'm
biological
happy
dad,
to hear that. I'm happy
regardless
to
of
hear.
how I
So
felt.
let me ask
Yes,
you a question.
we're
When
not doing that.
Good. So when you left, how old was your son?
How old? Not
Yeah.
old. No old, no
I
age.
know he's still very young, so he must have been even a lot younger when you
Honey,
left.
he was in the tummy. He was not,
Oh,
there
he
was no
was in the
age.
tummy. Oh, okay, you were still pregnant when he did. Let me ask you a question. If his dad wanted, did he ever approach you and say, let's give me a chance to change, give me a chance to be in my child's life? Did he say that to you? And if he did, would it have made a difference with you staying with him? Would you have given him that chance to be there?
Well, it depends on how you're asking that question. Because when someone asks a question to be in some, like, for example, a child's life, that is separated from being in your life as the woman. It's two completely separate things. So, I know what you're saying. You're saying based on the distance, one may affect the other.
Right.
But based on certain experiences, I probably would not have because, sometimes in life we go through different experiences that says where you feel like you have to hold on based on how much you have already invested in it. and how much your heart is already in it, right? And that investment could be not necessarily financial. I'm not necessarily talking about that, but your emotional investment, your spiritual investment, your family investment, and that kind of thing. And you figure, you hold it out, you'll try every different factor to keep this thing going, right? Counseling, setting up counseling sessions, and you do it all, which I did, But once it gets to a certain point where you realize nothing is working, even if that question is proposed at that
Right.
time, then no, absolutely not. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you left and that relationship is behind you as much as it can be, not altogether because you have your son. And then you found happiness because that's what you told me.
Abs-
You found happiness and you're not worried about what society is labeling you. Single mom, you single back mom, you have your son
oh,
by yourself. You didn't
not
worry
at
about
all.
those labels.
No, because I tell you, when I made the choice, I was ready for it. The moment I made that choice, it was the better choice under the circumstances. So at the moment the decision was made, no, I wasn't even worried about that. And the good Lord and I, we did our thing for the first 3.5 years of his life until my husband walked into my life. And when God brought my husband into our life, who is now Dylan's uh, formally stepdad, but his dad, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, such joy, such amazing, family life, and I could not have asked for a better dad. God has definitely blessed us with that situation.
How do you think his dad feels about that?
I don't know. It happens. He's not the first and he's not the last, right? All around this world, there have been a lot of different family that has gone that non-traditional route. It works out, it doesn't work out. There's divorce, it doesn't work out. You move on. This one get married, that one get married. So he's not the first. He won't be the last. And obviously, I think that he lost me, and there will always be that little thing about losing me. But I've never really, no, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he felt he's like he lost out. I can't talk on that. I don't know.
Tell me about the happiness that you found because you are glowing. Tell us about that happiness.
Yeah. My husband is an amazing man, and again, like I said, he's an amazing dad, and had I not, this is how God works, because had I not taken that leap based on the voice that I heard, the courage that I had, unleashing my power of standing for myself and my happiness and my future, had I not done that, then I would not have met my wonderful husband. So a lot of times in life, when there is one thing that disappoints us, it is actually setting us up for something else through God's grace
Yes,
and what he's
that's true.
preparing us for. On
Yes.
as much as my story seemed, you have that little, um not so good situation, if you will. Had that not happened, I would not have met my husband. And I was meant to leave that state. I was meant to leave that state. I was meant to come back into Cincinnati at the time so
Mhm.
that I could meet my husband. So it was a situation that went wrong that actually set me up for another situation that is going right.
Sometimes that happens. We have to go through some bad experiences to appreciate the good things when they come around. And then, like I said before, sometimes we hold on to the things that God is trying so hard to take away from us. And I've known situations where some mom they stayed because the situation is bad, but they're thinking, okay, the child is going to make a difference. The child is going to change something in the situation. But sometimes a child doesn't change anything, and sometimes it shouldn't have to be on that child to change the dynamics in a relationship. the dynamics between those two people should be there separate from the child. But what I'm hearing you say is that wasn't there for you. And though you were pregnant, it didn't change anything for you. So, I mean, I applaud you to know when it was time to leave and you left and you were on your own pregnant. Were you scared?
No, not at all. Not at all. And the reason for that is because I think that a part of disappointed, yes. Disappointed, yes. Scared, no. The reason for that is because I think that by the time, like I said earlier in the program, I deliberately waited to start a family late in life, to have a child late in life. And so for me personally, by that time, I had already finished all my schooling. I had already acquired my degrees. So I already had certain things behind me. I've already built my career. So I was stepping away, and I think I had enough credentials behind me to still stand strong in a situation that went wrong. Okay. Or was disappointing. And that limited my fear. Now, um, I, 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 I myself, and I'm only child with my mom. I don't have any younger brothers or sisters. I hadn't raised any younger cousins or anything like that. I have not had that experience. So the experience of raising a small child itself was new. I wasn't scared with that part of it, maybe just a little bit intimidated by it all, but I was never scared by that part of it. And so, because I think that I'm such a strong go-getter, overcomer, I'll learn it and figure it out type of person, that together with the background that I have, the investment I made in my education and career, and the fact that I'll figure it out and get it done type of person, limited my fear. I was not scared at all. And most importantly, because that was all about me, and I forgot the most important thing before all of
Yes.
that is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
the good Lord had me. The good Lord had me. He had me all the way.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. And I've been through this. The only difference is I didn't date anyone when my boys were younger because I didn't want a man to come into my life and into my son's life and try to tell him, okay, this is what you need to, I'm your dad and all that. So tell me, what was it like with your young son and you met your husband and the dating? Did you have that in the back of your head? Like I just said, a man come in and try to take your son. It was in the back of your head that he might not accept your son. He might not want your son. Tell me about that.
No, it wasn't in the back of my head, because I think for me, if I met someone and there was anything about them that even slightly indicated to me that they may not be about my son, it was over. There wasn't any reason for me to even go forward. Period. I don't care how much they like me or I like them. So that part, there wasn't any gray area as far as, oh, I really like him, but I don't know if he likes my son. No. No. We are a package deal. We
And
are a package deal.
he was three at that time, correct? He was three.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So he was
And
talking and he was able to identify with other people doing his thing.
yeah.
So yeah.
And my situation, I think, was a little unique in that there was more of my husband knew my child before I even went on a date with him. So, it's a setup to where there was that advantage, because he already knew the family and my close friends.
Right.
And so, he was already known, and then there was that element of already seeing us, and seeing Dylan and interacting with him. There was all of that before there was actually any dating, and that actually lessens any kind of doubt at that time.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing because
Yeah.
like I said, when my boys were younger, I didn't want to date anyone because I was worried that they'll be like, okay, you got too many children. I don't want to be bothered with the children. Or they might say, well, okay,
Yeah.
I'm not their father. Go to their father. Take it. It was really like me worried how they will feel about my children. So I stayed away from dating and pretty much just stick to myself. And that worked out for me, but that wasn't your situation. You were blessed all around. You met a wonderful man who didn't mind being a father to your son, and that worked out for you.
Yeah,
And
and we actually are a very typical modern blended family, because of course, my husband has two children from his previous relationship, and so we are now a blended family of five. And so sometimes when blended families are coming together or being formed, yes, there are some of those. I'm not going to say there may not be some of those concerns, whether on one person's end or the other, but I think for us, neither of us really worried about that because we had the opportunity to understand each other's personality before that time, and so it just kind of worked out, so vice versa. He wasn't worried about whether I was going to accept the kids, and he had enough information about me to know that I'm nuts about children. Right, and love kids dearly, and
yeah, hence your
that kind of thing.
teacher.
Yeah, so by the
Yeah.
time that he wasn't worried about that as well, so mhm.
So prior to you getting married, your family and your friends supported you. I hear you saying because they knew him. So did they support the union of you two together?
All the way, all the way, yes.
Was his children accepting of you? I know that they never lived with you guys,
Yes.
but were they accepting when you met them?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Because we there was always communication, even though they were not living with us. There was always that communication by phone or video, and all that kind of stuff. Um, so there was that moment of us just kind of bonding like that. But again, I know that sometimes there are some blended families coming together and there are different issues. I think
Yes.
that there's a blessing over us to where the kids mesh. The kids mesh. Um, you know, my son loved my stepkids. My stepkid loved my son, and we're both accepting as parents, and the kids are accepting, of each of the parents. So I think that we definitely have that blessing as a blended family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. What about his ex-wife, his ex, the mom's girl? Sorry, his children's mom. How is that
Okay.
relationship?
Again, yeah, again, like I said, no issues. I think that, a lot of the times why I think some of us are scared of stepping into a blended format is because there's this fear of, oh, I don't want to deal with another mom, or
Mm-hmm.
as we call it
Yes.
sometimes in our community, baby mama drama, blah, 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 blah,
Oh
blah, right?
Lord.
And all that stuff, but I
Yes.
think that of course, personalities have a lot to do with whether or not a blended family
Mm-hmm.
worked. And the personalities that were at play here when we came together just kind of made it work. And so from mom to mom,
Right.
and when
Right.
I say mom, I'm talking about my stepkids mom, from mom
Right.
to mom, and mom to dad, and dad to mom, and mom to kids, is somehow has worked without any extreme drama. Life is life, people are people, and we're all different, even though we're coming together. So there will always be a little, disagreement, or somebody does something you don't really approve of, that kind of thing. But as far as like a high scale drama type situation, we haven't encountered that. And by the blessings of God, I just hope that, it continues to be that way. And I think with the personalities at play here, that we will. A key factor, if you will, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Go
and
ahead.
and, and get this. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna put this out there. the man has a big role in whether or not a blended family work. Trust me, because if the man set a certain foundation and the man set up certain rules and the man, okay, set certain things in place
Uh-huh.
of how this is going to be, then I think there's a greater chance. But if that man is not being the foundation of that blended setup, everything can break loose. And so I reference that because I think my husband is the backbone of my blended family being so strong, because he is not going to allow certain things to happen. He's not going to you know what I mean? He had from the kids to the moms,
Hmm.
there is just certain things that he's not going to allow. And I think that that makes a huge difference, in my opinion. Yep, the man is the backbone of the blended family. Yep.
That is such a powerful statement. I'm still stuck up because you know what? It makes sense because if you have a mom, and you mentioned it before, the baby mama drama thing, and I that is something that I don't really get into talking like
Mhm.
that. But if you have someone who's about chaos and causing problems, you're right. That's when what I'm hearing you say is the man, he has to put his foot down and say, okay, this is not going to happen. This is
Yep.
not allowed. And that's what I'm hearing you say correctly. And you're
Correct.
saying that your
Correct.
husband did that.
Yes.
Okay. So, um, his relationship with his ex-wife, based on what you just said, his relationship with his ex-wife, how was that compared to your relationship with your ex?
I don't know. I don't know how that comparison is, because I think that their situation was their situation. And even though they parted and we were both in a situation of um being with child, so I'm not quite sure if I'm answering it correctly, you know. Um now, both are miles away. Both are miles
Right.
away. So my son's biological dad he's miles away. My husband here with me, he's miles away from my stepkids as well. Um, so there is somewhat of a slight difference as far as, I think, just with the personality of that actual man, and what they want to build with their biological child. And I think that that's as much as I can speak on it, but I can't necessarily give a comparison of their life and mine in that capacity.
But there's some level of respect that even though he's now married to you, the ex now knows, okay, that level of respect is in place. We are not going to disrespect the new wife.
And again, because we're dealing with the man who set the foundation. Now, when I say set the foundation, it doesn't necessarily mean that taking this mom into one, you know, area, talking to her and what you're not gonna do and what you're not gonna do, and taking another mom and what you're gonna. No, I think that the personality of that male and
Hmm.
how he has been through his life with everyone, including an ex-partner and his current wife, and how he's been in raising his children, already sets the tone. You see what I mean?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Correct. It already sets the tone and the rule, and I think that really made a difference. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's important too. Yeah, that's important. I agree with what you said as far as, the man setting the tone, because if he is like a laid back type of guy and just let everybody else take control, there could be a lot of chaos with that. So that's
Correct.
really good that, he step up, he set the tone. Okay, we're not going to have this behavior here. We're not going to do this. This is my new wife. And I'm just thinking of the things that would make the situation right, where he said, this is my new wife, accept her. She's gonna be the stepmom for my children. Accept her, and make it more easier. That is important because things like that doesn't happen, then you're right. You will have that drama, and then the families are constantly fighting, and the
Yeah.
ex will always think that they have a right to step in and do certain things because really and truly, relationships are like this. If they were there first, they think, well, okay, I was there first. He or she is mine. You came afterwards, so I have a right. And
Mhm.
that's how relationships are. But if that man set that tone and say, well, okay, our relationship is over. I am now with a new wife. Our time has passed. Now I'm into someone else. I think that that's a very important to be said
Yes.
prior so that
Correct.
there is no conflict. It lessens
Yes.
the conflict.
Yeah, and that way you can do more things as a family too, as a blended family. So, sometimes a blended family doesn't necessarily have to exclude
The exit, yeah,
the exes. It doesn't
yeah.
necessarily. Again, it just depends on the personalities at play. I mean, we all just went on vacation, everybody together, having a good
Okay,
time,
Alicia Keys.
sipping on margaritas in the pool, you know.
Yeah.
And my stepkid's mom was teaching me to float, and we're having a good time. And there are some families that can do that, and some
Some
but again, it's
families,
the
right.
personalities that are at play.
And
You know,
maturity.
and
Maturity.
maturity and
Yes.
maturity.
Because you're
That's the key
mature
word.
enough to respect the other
Good,
person and
good,
respect that the
good.
relationship didn't work out.
Yeah,
And because it didn't work out, we can move forward. We can be friends in spite of the fact
yeah.
that it didn't work out. But yeah, a level of
We
maturity will make that happen. Yes.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. I mean, we were, just on vacation for about, all together for about 6 days or so, and never once did we not eat dinner together. We were all eating dinner together
With the ex,
every night. Yep.
oh, let me take off my hat. Okay.
And
No,
the key thing
no.
too is, and it's so important because then that person, they get a night, they get a look into really building a confident and trust into you being around their biological child, and that's very important. You see what I mean? So
Right.
they have the opportunity to have that closer look, not to just know about you or
Mm-hmm.
drive by
Yeah.
the house and see you, but
Yeah.
they get a closer look into the individual who is now with their child for this X amount of time, whatever that may be it overnight or a weekend, or a little out of town trip, or maybe long term. So that's very important. Again, I said in the show that I have one child, and I had an opportunity on this vacation trip as a blended family to see how the mother of my stepkids interact with my biological child,
Right.
and there was a level of trust, of trust, and that's what we need.
Yeah. I'm sitting here and I'm like, there is no way on God's green earth my ex is gonna be in the same house with me. Yeah. Yeah. We have not
Well, it was a
we
hotel.
have,
It was a hotel. Okay,
no, we ain't gonna,
hotel.
it don't matter. There ain't gonna be no room she's gonna be in with me because after she's
Separate
trying to
rooms.
kill me, she's gonna try to kill me again. And I've been divorced a long time from this man, but there is no way she would want to be on the same planet with me if she can find me. No. And it
Yeah,
is so over with. There is no way we are getting back together. Him and I both know that. But there's something about me that she just, yes, it's so,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's all I can say on that. She is
yes.
not just sit down and have dinner with me. I have to make sure she doesn't cook the dinner because then I'll be like,
Oh,
okay, what did we
oh
put in
wow.
there for today? Yeah,
Yeah.
no, she does not like me at all, even after
Oh
all
God, we
these
we had
years.
a good time. We went to the beach parties together and everything.
That's amazing itself. Wow, that is really nice. That is actually,
And again,
possible for that to happen.
yeah, I am putting this scenario out there, but I'm not painting a complete 100% perfect picture. there are flaws along the way.
Right.
Don't get me wrong.
Exactly. Yes.
There will be one and two things here and there, right?
Right.
Nothing is without flaws. I don't want to paint a picture perfect situation per se, but is it stable enough or set up enough to where there is that foundational respect amongst all of us? Yes. And I think that that's enough to kind of keep it rolling.
Yeah. You're right about, I mean, no relationship is without problems, but here's what the difference is. There's some problems you can work through and some you can't. But
Mm-hmm.
from what I'm hearing you say is the relationship before, you can work through those problems, but whatever comes with your husband, it's something that you can stay and work with.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Does your ex support help you financially with your son?
That is a question that I don't think I necessarily want to put out there. I think he's doing what he's doing, and either way, it's okay, because, again, I think it's important for people to really set up their future. And that way, no matter what happens, you're not stressed either way, which for me, I'm not stressed either way. So, but I'm not necessarily going to dig deep into that part.
No worries. No worries. Um, I had a thought that just went straight out of my head. I apologize for that. But it's amazing how things turned around for you. Sometimes we walk out on relationship and we were like, do you ever wish you went back, USA? I'm just asking. I don't think so, but did you?
No, no, because sometimes in life, I think that I know that people are different and personalities are different. And the kind of personality that I have is that period that you're talking about, that you're asking me, as far as that, I guess, try again period, right?
Hmm.
All of that occurs before that actual final decision for me, for the kind of person that I am. So once that final decision is made, it's made, and there is no thought.
Turning back, yeah.
No, 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 no. You know what I mean? So, yeah, no.
Let me ask you a question, and this just kind of is interesting based on what you just said. Do you think that in your situation, based on your experiences, culture made a difference?
What part of the situation? My marriage with my husband, or the blended family setup, or you're talking about the breakup with my ex-fiance?
No, I'm talking about the both relationship, the one you had with your ex and
Mhm.
your husband now. Do you think culture makes a difference?
Um, do I think close? Nope, nope, nope. Mm-mm. It's all about the man. It's all about the man. There are losers in every culture,
So
and there are
it
winners
doesn't matter where he comes from. It's
in
his
every race.
mindset. It's his
It's
mindset, yes, and how badly he wants the relationship, correct? Because if he wants the
correct.
relationship, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what culture he's in. But
Doesn't matter the
sometimes
culture,
I
the creed, or the color.
sometimes I think, in my opinion, culture make a difference because my ex-husband, he's from a different culture than I am. And the reason why I think culture is different is because there's a lot of things that they do in their culture I will never understand.
Mm-hmm.
And my personality, of course, I know this now, I'm older and just a little bit smarter, that it would not have worked because the type of woman that I am, it doesn't necessarily fit into his culture
Mm-hmm.
because it's like the man, he has the dominant role, he's the main breadwinner, and that made a difference in my relationship. So that's why I was wondering if culture made a difference in yours. But you're saying it depends on the man, but to an extent I don't necessarily agree with that, based on my experience, that is. Because like I
Okay,
said,
yeah,
my
because you guys are
ex-husband
from
is a
two
different
separate
culture.
culture.
Different
Correct.
culture, totally.
Yes.
totally. And it made a mess of things because he didn't understand certain things about me and how I grew up and our way of doing things versus the way they do things in their culture. So it can make a difference.
I see. I understand, and I think that I agree with you in that respect. In my setup, we didn't have a different culture because we were all of the same culture. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? Correct. Correct. We were all of the same culture, so I think that's why I answered it that way. But I completely get your point. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, because even across the board, society, we have this thing where we're saying all men are the same, but that's not necessarily true. Just like all women are not the same. So what you will have like getting a and I don't even want to say what culture my ex-husband is, like Antigua. I'm from Antigua all day long, and I will get with someone from America, and because the culture is different, there is differences no matter what. We all that, but there's still that difference, and sometimes that goes over into the relationship, and it goes bad because of that difference.
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
yes, so the culture can make a difference, and sometimes it does. But what I'm hearing in your situation is the culture wasn't the issue. No, it
Right, because
was
the culture,
just
there wasn't a culture difference, right? For me,
right,
there wasn't a culture difference.
right. That
We
I
were
know.
all
Yes,
my yes, my ex fiance
yes.
was of the
All
same
the same.
culture.
Yes.
I was my husband is the same culture. So that part, I couldn't really see a comparison or difference or anything. Um, for me, what it was the difference in the man. Yeah.
Glaisha, thank you so much for joining. Um, I applaud you. A lot of women, they would have stayed, the fact that they're pregnant and they're
Yep.
getting ready to have a child and not knowing
Yeah.
where the support is coming from. You had the support of your family and friends, and you
Hmm.
were able to leave a relationship and found love. And though you're saying it's not perfect, that man was perfectly made for you. And
Oh,
he's
tailor
accepting
made.
of your son, just like you're accepting of his children. And and that's sometimes what we need in life to diffuse some of the hatred that's going on. We need
Hmm.
to be a little bit more accepting that relationships don't always work, but be mature enough to move past it and still have some form of respect for the other person. And
Hmm.
and that's basically what we need to make a difference to become better people, because none of us are perfect, and we have faults, we make mistakes, and we don't know if it's going to work until we try.
Correct. Correct. That's it.
Yeah.
And that you when you're always stepping forward into the unsure zone or whatever the case is, again, you do it and you leap with God, leap of faith, and that's it. That's all there is.
Okay, so if there is something right now you could say, even to me, because one day I might get married, who knows? Well, my kids won't be living with me. Okay, to people who are coming together, blended family, what word of
Yeah.
encouragement would you give the mom and the dad as they come together doing a blended family? Yours worked, and that's really great, but not all of them done.
Yeah.
So what would you say to try to encourage them?
Well, first of all is to understand that life isn't perfect. We all have this vision of how we're going to go about it, which chapter we're going to do first, which chapter we're going to do second, which chapter we're going to do third, and we have it all laid out. And we have to realize that there is our plan and God's plan, and it's
Yes.
not perfect.
Yep.
And when our plan doesn't really go in that order, or in that way, understand that it is now God's plan. Okay?
Yes.
When you understand and accept that that is God's plan, you have a lot more love around circumstances that are new to you, including a blended setup. For example, more specifically, okay, a single, woman meeting a man with, two children, or whatever the case is, right? Don't don't get stuck in your vision of, you want to meet a man. He's gonna have this perfect job, and he's not gonna have any kids. No, understand God's plan and be more accepting of him, because that actual situation that didn't look as how you envisioned or painted it might actually be the biggest blessing to you.
Yes.
So you
I
have to
agree.
be, yeah, you have to be open and accepting to that. Come out of that little box and the little things that you wrote down and
Yes.
check off, and the list over here of what you want and what you don't want, and trust God, trust the process. Hold on to your values. I'm not saying to let go of your values and being open.
Right.
You still have, but be open with your values. And then, all of that will come into play, especially if you are faced with blended family type of setup. You see what I'm saying? So that's one of the forefront advice that I would give. And then now, once you accept it and you are now in it, love and respect. Okay. And now realizing, hey, it's not just about you and your needs, but now you are blessed with a whole family, and their needs, and just kind of embracing that. But going into it, now that you're in it, with love and respect, and that's it.